Can you see the presentation? Yeah, I hope you see the presentation, yeah?
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Right. So as I've mentioned, I've visited not only Ethiopia, but some other East African countries, among those Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. I think there are some people from Nyakio, you are from Kenya, yeah? And
Yes,
is there anybody from Uganda or maybe Rwanda or Tanzania?
let's see. Maybe anyone who is from those countries can just comment.
Yeah, so I visited all those countries, very lovely countries. I've seen many, many things there, which I'm very grateful I could. But most of my time I spent in Ethiopia, and all the medical program I did only in Ethiopia. So why did I choose Ethiopia? As I've mentioned, it was part of a bigger trip. So I selected this region before we did a trip with my friends, and I wanted to continue this trip with IFMSA exchange. And I've selected Ethiopia because of different culture and different alphabet, uh, and also it was available. It was the big part of my decision. Not all the countries were available, and as you can see, I've enjoyed a lot of cultural experience. So the food, it was completely different than food we eat in Poland, but also the cultural events I was invited thanks to my friends in Ethiopia. It was a great experience to see it and experience it in person. So um, let's focus now on medical education system, as it was kind of similar, but also different in many ways than the system which we have in Poland. So the thing I didn't knew about medical education in Ethiopia, but I also believe that it's in general in Africa, is that you use American books mainly and English language for studying. Is that true, Nyako? Do you also use American books in medical school?
Yes, we use a lot of Western books, not only American, but also British. And I mean, yeah, we do.
And for me, it was not expected for me because in Poland we study medicine in Polish. Sometimes we use American books, but usually we use Polish books. I don't know if I have any of American books here. No, actually not. So like all the surgery, internal medicine, I actually only have stuff like this for repetition. I do you know this book? Maybe some people know who are preparing for medical exams in US. So we use Polish language for studying medicine, and it would be very difficult for somebody to come to Poland and have the full experience which I had in Ethiopia, because I understood the doctors perfectly, but on the other hand, somebody coming to Poland would probably need a translator, as you know, not all the doctors can speak English that well. So that was the big difference. Second difference was that in summer in Poland, we absolutely have no medical school at all. So September and August would be no academic no academic subjects at this time, and these are the biggest differences which I could observe. But on the other hand, studying is very similar. uh, I've seen that in Ethiopia you also used, maybe only in Addis Ababa, but you also used exams from previous years for studying. So that's also the same thing we do in Poland. And in general, I would say that the program was very, very similar. And here why did I choose these photos? So the first one was that there were some things that shocked me, but the differences were not that big. And second is the campus, which was very, very lovely. I will focus in the next part, more like social part. And the operation, I was able to take part in operations, go to surgical theater and hospital halls, which are very, very similar to these which you can see in Poland. So the beautiful nature of Ethiopia. And as I've mentioned before, the healthcare system, it has some similarities and some differences with the system in Poland, but where the biggest difference I would think is the most important is that in Poland we have different diseases than these in Ethiopia. And for example, cardiovascular diseases are absolutely top priority in Poland. Meanwhile, from what I've heard and observed in Ethiopia, cardiovascular diseases aren't that much of a problem yet because of the proper diet in Ethiopia. So we have a lot in Poland. We have a lot of fatty food and stuff like fast foods. Meanwhile, in Ethiopia, most of the people use this traditional diet, which is associated with lower risk of cardiovascular diseases. And on the other hand, there are more of infectious diseases, which in Poland aren't that much of a problem. Fortunately for me, in Ethiopia, Addis was on the very high elevation, so malaria was not a problem for me at all. It was nice as I did not need to take medicine for malaria. So social aspects, the very big benefit of staying in Ethiopia and especially in Tikur and Besa Hospital was that I could stay on the hospital campus. It had student dormitories, it had library, it had hospital all in one place. Meanwhile, at the university in Poland where I study, it's all very sparsely placed, let's say. So, for example, to go to the library, we have two libraries. One is 20 kilometers away and one is like 6-7 kilometers away. So it's a big problem for me, I would say. I need to take a car to go there. And in Addis, it was very convenient to have it all in one place. Social aspects, stuff like spending time with locals, as I was the only person on exchange. I think it's a great idea if anybody of you is organizing exchange or taking part in it in your country. I think it's a great idea to place your incomings in the same room with locals, if that's possible. It's easier for socializing, and I really didn't feel lonely. It was a great time for me, and placing your incomings in a close range of locals, it's a great idea. And I also think that it's important because I had a great friends there, as you can see in the picture. Maybe talk with people who would be eager to spend time with incomings, who would like to do it. And social program is also important. Places to go. I think like having one bigger trip and few smaller around the city is more than enough, but I think it should be mentioned. So thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I will be very happy to answer it.
All right, thank you so much. I think I'll invite Dawit to help us also moderate any questions people may have. We're hoping for a very nice, short and sweet session on a Monday evening. I can see our participants, people are talking about how they're from Malawi, from Kenya. If I've not mentioned your country, this is your time to let us know that you're here. So thank you so much for your presentation, Karol, and making the time to share your experience with us. So yeah, thank you. So what I'll do is I'd like to also invite the SCOPE chair, Wendy Kinara. Maybe as people think of their questions, she can also share on the FAMSA opportunities that are available, because we're working on making experiences like these for more African medical students around the continent, and to promote inter-African exchange, as was shared earlier by, hello Edwin, as was shared earlier by our very able National Exchange Officer from Ethiopia, Dawit. So let me just invite Wendy to greet us.
Thank you so much, Nyakio. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you, Karol, for the great presentation. And it's impressive that you've really visited a lot of countries in Africa, mine included. I'm from Kenya as well. Yeah, and thank you, Dawit, as well for organizing this session. So we're glad to host you at SCOPE in FAMSA. So we are the Federation for African Medical Students, and we have a ton of opportunities for members. So this month, for the upcoming activities, we'll be having a mental health workshop that will be running from the 15th to 21st. So for that, we'll be having a ton of activities by the different regions. So South Africa will be organizing something, Central and East Africa as well. And for that, it will be hybrid. So you can reach out to your national coordinators or regional coordinators to determine, to get information for the physical activities that you'll be doing for your country. And for the virtual events, we'll be sharing the links for that. And we have also some opportunities for BRICS training for students that was shared as well. And for the different countries in Uganda, we have an upcoming workshop with the Uganda Health Institute. And for Tanzania also, we have an upcoming workshop, and the details for that will be shared. So for the activities, do follow our social media pages at SCOPE FAMSA on Instagram, on Twitter. You can join our common WhatsApp group, and all the details can be found in our LinkedIn link. I believe that has been shared in the chat box by Nyakio, and it's great to have everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. Do have a lovely evening.
So I think what we can now go into for the remainder of the next 10 minutes, even as we close, we can just answer any of the questions from the participants who have come. As promised, we said we'd have a short session. So Shemen Musa, first of all, I'm so interested in knowing where you're from. Your name is very beautiful. You're asking how to apply. So we're going to be having a call later in the year. That's what we're planning for, even as we work on getting the infrastructure around. And we don't know yet if we'll have it for all the countries in East Africa that are within the Federation, because that's subject to the availability of the exchange infrastructure. But what we can definitely say is that we will have an opportunity for any students within FAMSA to be able to come to one of our East African countries. And the purpose of sessions like this is just to provide a platform for students who have already gone to these countries to give a good idea, so that we can also be able to assess the demand and be able to meet it accordingly, and also just give people an opportunity to know what's out there. So, oh, you're from Malawi. Okay. So I hope I've answered your question. So for the call, what I tell you is that you need to keep within our groups for when we do send out that call. And so I've already shared the link tree in the comment section. So for now, that's where you can keep updated on that. Are there any questions specifically to Karol? Karol, there's something I wanted to ask you, because I also know someone else went to Ethiopia. For instance, in Kenya, we don't have free surgical skills teachings. I heard in Ethiopia that universities often provide them. How was it in Ethiopia?
Yeah, so I did not have a dedicated surgical skill introduction, but I was able to just go to the gynecological ward and do some surgical training there.
Okay, all right. And oh wow, someone from DRC saying hello in the comment section. The other thing I wanted to ask you, what was the most meaningful thing you got to learn as a student? I didn't hear which department you are rotating in. And so, with regards to the healthcare, something that you could take back home to Poland.
Yeah, so initially I was planned to be in surgical ward, just surgery, in general surgery, but it quickly became a little bit boring as I was not able to take part in the operation. So in Poland, it's usually done this way, that students keep the hooks. I don't know how you call it. How is it called? The hooks? Retractors. So in Poland, students almost always keep the retractors. And later, if the doctor is maybe tired, then we suture the rest after the operation. And sometimes doctors allow us to perform some activities. Unfortunately, I was not able to do it in the surgery. So I tried some different wards, and I've tried emergency medicine. It was interesting as the procedures were a little bit different than these in Poland. But lastly, I went to gynecology, and I liked it the most because I was able to do so much stuff there. So I could assist in taking the labor. So it was a great experience as I could assist in so much labors. There was a lot of it, and in Poland, it's not a big opportunity to do it. And when we do it, it's usually on machines, the labor, so on phantoms, and assisting in the real labor isn't that often. So currently I'm having gynecology, and after a week and a half we did not take part in the labor. And in Ethiopia, I think I did it like 20, 30, maybe 40 times. So that was I think the most significant thing. And I see the next question. So is this exchange only for those in their clinical years of study? How are they funded, self-funded? So to answer the first part, I believe so. Yeah, in Poland, to take part in SCOPE, you have to be a clinical years of study. But I think it's up to your country. And second question, how are they funded, self-funded? So it's an excellent question. It's partially funded by FAMSA. I think it also depends on your country, but for example, for me in Poland, I paid for student coming to Poland, and I came to Ethiopia and I did not pay for accommodation, and part of my food was funded. So that's the financial aspect, but flights and most of expenses were paid by me. So I think it depends. So a month in a capital city, having a hotel would be very, very expensive. So I'm very thankful that it was funded, but you have to take into consideration that the flight is not founded, and it can be expensive, pretty much. Yeah, so I hope I answered your question.
And even just to put things more into perspective, so basically, because we said that we're SCOPE from FAMSA, we'd just also like to clarify upon the nature of exchange that Karol shared. His was organized by this top organization here called the FAMSA through the national member organizations in Poland and Ethiopia, respectively. So because it's a platform for exchange, we're very willing to even promote the other exchange opportunities or models that are there. So the one he explained is self-funded, but it's subsidized. I mean, not like he said that it's funded by FMSA, but it's not funded by them, but it's greatly subsidized to make it more affordable for students, especially concerning accommodation and the fact that you don't pay any tuition while you are at an institution in another country. But there are costs like the flights that we would say which are the most expensive. But let's say if you're from a neighboring African country, perhaps that could be more manageable. And then other costs to consider would be the insurance for traveling. And I don't know, Karol, is there anything else you would say people should be really concerned about concerning the funding?
Considering the funding, so if one would decide to go to, let's say, neighboring country, transportation, the food was founded like 50-50, I would say. It was 1 meal a day, so I had to spend a little on food.
Okay.
Paid, and I think that's it. No, I did not spend much money extra.
Yeah, in addition to those things you've mentioned.
Wow.
Thank you. I see there's a question that's been answered. Dawit has answered it. Is there a particular time? Depends on the university that you're going to. And for the ones who want to initiate through FAMSA, it depends on being towards the end of this year and moving forward. And I'm trying to see if there are any other questions. You can also ask the Ethiopian. If not, we are going to be out of time in just about 2 minutes. And yeah, any final words, Karol, in terms of encouraging people to travel to African countries in general, and especially Ethiopia?
Yes, so once again, thank you very much. I would like to thank Ethiopian organizers for hosting me. I don't know if they are here. I don't know. But Dawit, please share my thankful words. And I really hope that I encouraged you to travel. It was a great experience for me. And this year, some of my friends are also going to Ethiopia for an exchange, as I have marketed well here in Poland. And also to Kenya. I have a friend going to Kenya, to Tanzania, and one friend unfortunately cannot go to Sudan because of the current situation, but she also wanted to go there. My friend from my university.
Okay, thank you. I was just sharing a team of the national officers in other countries, and I see someone is asking about, are there any additional requirements, documents needed when applying? So during the exchange call, that's when you receive the documentations, which will explain the, like, because we do have a selection criteria, and it really depends on the country which will have available and the supporting documents that will be required. But things that, I mean, you can always say outright, letters from your school, just documenting what student you are, what level, because you have to have done that specialty to be able to do it in the country. Travel documents, passports, vaccinations. Those are the kind of documents that you will need to prepare or have ready to be able to travel to another country. I hope that question has been answered, Likita. If it has not, we can leave the link tree is there, so you can be able to even contact us there. 1 month, Shemen. They're generally 1 month long. When is the exchange call expected to be? After August. Also, I had missed out. Oh, yeah. He's thanking you for your words, Karol. Someone called Om. Okay. Thank you, Likita, for your feedback. Okay. Then I guess without further ado, we'll just close this session and thank each and everyone who was able to make it. Hope it was informative and that you were inspired to travel to another African country. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Zainab. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Karol. Thank you so much for coming. Goodbye.